Hey everyone, welcome back to Moneyline MMA. We have another week of exciting fights. This week we have a headline between Max Holloway and the Korean Zombie. But before we get kicked off into that, we're just going to do a quick recap over last week's picks. Um, Both Nick and I, we did somewhat well. O'Malley really his win, him being that much of an underdog, but getting that spectacular second round KO slash TKO, it's nothing but phenomenal for him, but it did mess up the parlays because we did have Aljamain Sterling as our pick, and because he was since he did not get that win, it did mess up our parlays. I ended up out of my four picks, that's the one that messed it up for me. I had Sterling as my three-way, and O'Malley knocked that off. But besides that, Weili Zhang came in with a win. Both Nick and I had her. Cheeto Vera, Nick and I both had her. And then Ian Gary kind of just dismantled Neil Magny. Nick had Neil Magny, I had Ian Gary. And then another fight I believe I did talk about was the Chris Weidman and Brad Tavares fight. And pretty much same thing. Chris Weidman, he got almost dismantled, almost similar fashion to Neil Magny with their legs being attacked. And that being said, I think maybe Chris Weidman should hang it up. But that being said, the show must go on, and we're coming back to you with another week of spectacular fights and more picks. And to get it off right off the bat, I'm going to jump right into this. And for my five weight, I think it's going to be as simple as that. The best is blessed. Max Holloway. If it wasn't for Volkanovski, he's definitely the GOAT of this weight division, and so he's definitely close into that. He's like second GOAT. He's like Robert Whitaker to Izzy Adesanya. So he's there, and he can beat everyone but Volkanovski, which is crazy. And he's been close to beating him, but just hasn't been able to do it. Um, the Korean Zombie, this is just as simple as it is. This is something he should get done right now. Max Holloway on FanDuel, he is the betting favorite right now a as a minus 850, while the Korean Zombie is a plus 520, which is just ridiculous. Like, not enough. Like, oh, actually, now I've refreshed it. Max Holloway is a minus 1,000, and while the Korean Zombie is a plus 560. So that's crazy. Yeah, that's how much people are highly riding on Max Holloway. He's just coming off a spectacular 5 round unanimous decision win over Arnold Allen. And before that, he's had spectacular wins over Yair Rodriguez and Kelvin Cater. And again, not much to say other than he has a high volume of striking. He's overall a well-rounded fighter. He has a great I think his reach advantage in this one is definitely going to play a big role. And the Korean Zombie, to be honest, he's coming off a brutal loss to Alexander Volkanovski, and he's just been up and down since then. He got a nice win over Dan Ige, but that was a fight he should have won. Is this a fight he should win against Max Holloway? I hate to say it, I don't think so. I think he's just going to be outclassed. I don't think the Korean Zombie's fast enough to deal with the volume of punches that Max Holloway is going to be throwing his way. If anything, yeah, the Korean Zombie is going to absorb a lot of those strikes. And I will make a correction. Actually, the Korean Zombie does have a 3-inch reach advantage over Max Holloway, but still, Max Holloway, he throws a 7.16 significant strikes that land per minute, which is just crazy. Korean Zombie, he throws about 4 that land per minute, but overall he absorbs about he absorbs more than what he's throwing, which is just ridiculous. While on the other hand, Max Holloway's definitely throwing a lot more than what he's absorbing. So I think for this one, it's just easy enough to see that Max Holloway should be the pick. Nick, I feel like you may have a similar thought process to this fight as me, but what weight do you have this fight at?
Yeah, Jose. Yeah, I'm really not feeling too well this week, so I'm not going to have much to input. But anyone who's been following MMA should know that Holloway is the best bet here. It's really as simple as that. There's literally not a single factor that should say that the Korean Zombie should win. So just throw your money on the Holloway. I mean, win your $5 and move on.
It is, yeah. This is definitely a fight. Like, it almost just seems like they're just matching it up because they have like no one else to give Max Holloway. So, yeah, like that. Then that's basically it. Like, I almost wanted to say it like that too, just pretty straightforward. That it's is you're silly not to bet on Max Holloway. And this is not like O'Malley versus Sterling type of fight where there was that puncher's chance. I don't even think the Korean Zombie has a puncher's chance at all. Um, but that being said, yeah, easy enough to say. Max Holloway, easy pick. If you like the Korean Zombie and you see some value in him, go ahead and you can always look in that way. But I definitely feel really strong about Max Holloway. He is both Nick and I's number 5 weight. And that moves on to the next fight I'm going to talk about, which is the light heavyweight fight between Anthony Smith and Ryan Spann. Right now, Anthony Smith is the betting underdog at minus 102, while Ryan Spann is the betting favorite at minus 125. So the money line is a little bit closer on this one. Anthony Smith, people are still giving some respect to him, even though he's coming off a he's on a 2 fight losing streak to Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. In that Johnny Walker fight, he did not look good. Johnny Walker is getting better, and you can kind of start seeing like kind of a little the downfall of Anthony Smith. And this is actually a rematch between him and Ryan Spann, and he actually submitted Ryan Spann in the first round via guillotine. Rear naked choke, I should say. And that's and as of lately, Ryan Spann, he's actually coming off a first round loss via submission again, this time to Nikita Krolov. But before that, he was on a 2 fight winning streak. He got his own first round submission against Ian Kudalaba after his Anthony Smith loss. And then he had a spectacular KO win in the first round against Dominic Reyes. So Ryan Spann, he's got power. He's got submission skills too. So Anthony Smith, he's actually a well-rounded fighter that, out of his 36 wins, he has a big record. Out of his 36 wins, he has 19 KOs and he has 14 submissions. He's only won via decision twice. So that being said, I don't think this fight is going to go the distance. This fight will be done within the first 3 rounds. And I feel like Ryan Spann, he has proven himself that he can get the job done, and he that catch against Anthony Smith in the first round too. It just is almost like if he got caught in it, it just happens. It's the first round. Anthony Smith back then was good too. Like he at one point built up to fight John Jones, and he's been on and off, but he's been a staple in the light heavyweight division. And I don't think he's quite yet a gatekeeper. I don't think the UFC sees him as a gatekeeper, especially because he had a 3 fight winning streak in the first round. But he came up short in 2 fights that really mattered the most to secure him another title shot. So if this one, I think Ryan Spann, it's almost like a switch right here going on, and I think Ryan Spann could come back and win against Anthony Smith, and I would say even via TK or KO, because even though he has a lot of wins on his record, Anthony Smith kind of does have a lot of losses too. He has 18 losses and he's been knocked out 10 times. Ryan Spann has incredible power. He's only been submitted 3 times, and one of those times, yes, by Anthony Smith. So he doesn't really get submitted that often. So I do think, with this being said, I think Ryan Spann can possess the power to make it lights out for Anthony Smith, especially after that last fight against Johnny Walker. It's just kind of starting to look like, Anthony Smith, he is up there in age as well. It's starting to seem like maybe father time's maybe catching up. He's 35 years old, but I don't know. It's just like the last few fights, he hasn't really been showing out and being the best that he can be. He doesn't really take go a lot for the takedowns, and he doesn't have throws a high volume of punches. Ryan Spann throws 3.28 significant strikes per minute, while Anthony Smith 2.96. So both heavy guys. They don't throw a high volume, more power than anything. So that being said, I have Ryan Spann as my 4th weight. But enough about that. What weight do you have this fight at, Nick?
Yeah, same, dude. Same for the same reasons, really. Anthony Smith's got one too many concussions, so no way. No thanks.
And yeah, for this one, if the way I look at it, like I do think Anthony Smith could make a turnaround to some degree, but I probably would have moved him down on my list, maybe 3 or 2. But I honestly I just think Ryan Spann is. I think he's 31 years old, and I do think he has the ability to be a top 3 guy in this weight division. So that being said, yeah, both Nick and we both heavily agree on Ryan Spann, and we agree. We think so heavily of him that he's our 4 weight just after Max Holloway. So I guess enough about that fight. That brings us on to the next fight of the night.
Yeah, Jose, take this one away for me. I'll be right back.
For sure. And then that one brings us to the next fight of the night, which is a featherweight fight between Giga Chikadze and Alex Caceres. Uh, right now, that is my three-way, and for this one, I have Giga Chikadze, and Chikadze, he is the betting favorite at minus 250, while Alex Caceres is the betting underdog at plus 190. Giga Chikadze right now, he is coming off that 5 round loss to Calvin Kattar, and he did kind of like get brutalized by Calvin Kattar in that fight. Calvin Kattar just put on a clinic on him, but that was over a year ago. So I'm hoping that that's been more than enough time for him to recover and gets back on track to be as dominant as he was leading up to that Calvin Kattar fight. Alex Caceres, I don't want to say he's a step down from Calvin Kattar, but he's definitely not the same level of um, he's not the same caliber of fighter as Kelvin Kattar, that's for sure. I think Giga Chikadze should get this win. Alex Ceres, he's on a 2 fight winning streak, and he's just coming off a unanimous decision win, and as well as a first round TKO to Julian Erosa. Alex Ceres is looking better. He, before his loss to Sadiq Youssef too, he was on an incredible 5 win win streak, but he's losing to dudes. Nothing against Yusuf Sadak Yusuf, but he's someone who's also he's in a similar he's similar kind of to Giga Chikadze in terms of he's really good. And Alex Caceres, they're beating dudes they should beat, but they're gonna be losing to those top guys. For example, Sadiq Yusuf, he lost to Arnold Allen, and Arnold Allen, he's up there at the top. He just obviously just lost to Max Holloway, but there's definitely levels to this, and I think Giga Chikadze, he's definitely a level above Alex Caceres in this one. So for this one, I have my stamp of approval for Giga Chikadze, and I know Nick agrees with him too, but Nick actually has Giga Chikadze as his one weight. So Nick doesn't feel as strong about him as I do. So he does have a lot more respect on Alex Caceres' name. And again, Giga Chikadze, he is the betting favorite at minus 250, while Alex Caceres is a plus 190 underdog. So Nick uh yeah, so he doesn't feel as strong about Giga Chikadze, but uh I'm pretty sure Nick would agree with me when I say that Giga, they both these guys throw a high volume of strikes. They both throw they land over 4 significant strikes per minute. And both gamble like in the grappling department pretty similar. I think this is a pretty almost equal matchup on paper, but I think the level that Giga is compared to Alex Caceres is one step ahead of him. So I think he should get this win. And that being said, I don't know if he's gonna finish Alex Caceres. Alex Caceres, he's been finished, but I don't think Giga will be able to finish him. Giga, out of his 14 wins, he has 9 via KO, while Alex Caceres out of his 21 wins only has 4. So uh, Alex Caceres, if he's going to win, I think if he were to win, it'd be by unanimous decision. But Giga's only lost 3 times. Alex Caceres has lost 13 times. I don't think Giga's going to submit him. Uh, Giga may or may not TKO him, but if anything, I think he's definitely going to win via decision. So my heaviest bet would be Giga Chikadze winning this via unanimous decision over Alex Caceres. I believe Nick would agree with me on that. And right now Nick, as he said earlier, he's not feeling the best, so he can't join us right now as much. So that being said, the show must go on. So then that will bring me to the next fight of the night. The next fight I'm going to talk about, and this is the Rinya Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia fight at bantamweight. Right now, Rinya Nakamura is the betting favorite at minus 800, while Fernie Garcia is the betting underdog at plus 480. There's a lot of hype going on right now between Rinya, the hybrid Nakamura. He is undefeated 7-0, and he's 3-0 in the UFC. Wins over Gunman Gusman, Shohei Knows, and Toshiomi Kazama. And he's won all his fights in the UFC right now in the first round via submission and KO. So there is a lot of hype behind him. He's only 28 years old. And Fernie Garcia, he's not much older. He's only 30. He's 31 years old. He's 10-3. Most of his wins come via decision. He's not really much of a finisher like Nakamura. And he is coming off a 2 fight losing streak via unanimous decision. So that is partially why I think Rinya Nakamura is a huge favorite. It's just the 2 fight losing streak that Fernie Garcia is coming off of as well. But Fernie Garcia, he's legit. He shouldn't be taken lightly himself. He being 10-3, he does not throw as much as Rinya Nakamura, but Rinya Nakamura, he's not been in the again, he's only had 3 fights in the UFC and all came in the first round. So his stats are a little inflated compared to Fernie Garcia. But Fernando Garcia in general though, uh he's again, he's mostly a
I'm back, by the way, Jose.
oh,
Not to cut you off.
no problem. I'm talking about the Rinya Nakamura fight and Fernando
Fernie.
Garcia fight.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're on your third weight. And
That was my 3-weight. Yep.
Yep, that he's your 3 weight, and he's my 1 weight. And I do have a little more respect on Fernie Garcia's name, but I think
That's
anything
fair.
can happen in the UFC. Anything can happen in the UFC, and what I was saying is that Nakamura, he's won his 3 fights in the UFC in the first round. And it's just been so quick to almost judge. He's looked phenomenal, and he does throw a high volume of punches, but I do think there is that like chance just because I haven't seen enough of him, and I don't want to jump into the hype too quick. But overall, I do agree that I think just that confidence of him winning 3 in a row in the first round of the UFC, I do think that's going to carry over to a victory. Will he be able to finish Garcia? I don't know. Garcia's never been finished. So I do think that Nakamura is going to be tested for sure in the UFC for the first time. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish Fernie Garcia, so I want to see how Nakamura is able to do when he's going beyond the first round. He has shown it obviously before the UFC. He did go unanimous decision win in April of 2022, but for the most part, he's a finisher. So I want to see him. I want to see him full 3 rounds, but. And if he makes it that far, I am confident enough that he will win it via unanimous decision if, the numbers that he's shown thus far in the UFC, even for how fast it's been, can stay in the long run. If he's throwing just of a high volume in the later rounds, because if he is doing that, then he's definitely going to be a big problem in this division. He'll be able to fight someone like Max Holloway one day if he's keeping those numbers up long term. So for this one, yeah, I can't say enough about that. He's a huge favorite, minus 800. Both Nick and I have Nakamura. He's Nick's 3-weight, and he is my 1-weight.
Yeah, that's a good point about the favorite, man. Like, I like Nakamura as my 3-weight in that I think he has a good chance. I totally respect Garcia and his name. He went 4-1 in LFA. He's got experience in other organizations with a lot of top-end talent. So he's shown his ability to, dominate. And granted, a couple of those wins in LFA were split decisions, and that's kind of one of the things I'm looking at. Like, I get that Garcia is a great fighter, and I'm not taking anything away. He's also in his low 30s. He's in that point where you're still getting better, I feel like, every fight. But I haven't seen the highlight reel, punches or fights at all in general from Garcia that we have Nakamura. So I guess that's kind of what I'm going off of.
Yeah, and it seems like just because of his losing streak too, and he doesn't have that much experience in the UFC. But if he loses to Nakamura, I could see probably Garcia not being in the UFC. It seems like the way they're pushing Nakamura and then they're putting him against someone like Garcia. So the UFC did see Garcia to some level a bit higher than Nakamura, where it's like, okay, he's already on a 3-fight winning streak, but they're still
True.
giving him Garcia. So there, that tells me like, okay, now I want to see the next level. Nakamura should be able to walk through Garcia, and I hate to say, but that could be Garcia's out the door because he's already losing to a guy that doesn't have as much UFC experience like himself. But
True.
At this point, they're at a stage where they're both young and making a name for themselves, and I don't see them keeping Garcia if he's on a 3-fight losing streak in the UFC. I don't even think he has yet to get a win in the UFC. So
True.
that being said, yeah, can't say enough. Both Nick and I are on the side of Nakamura, and that brings us to my 2-weight fight, which is the big boys, the heavyweights. We got Junior the Juggernaut Tafa versus Parker Porter. Right now, Junior Tafa is the betting favorite at minus 162, while Parker Porter is the betting underdog at plus 126. And the only reason why I think Parker Porter, I feel like he should be the favorite in this one. He's coming off a win, and he has more UFC experience than Junior Tafa, and he's older. He's the vet. I'm surprised that he's the underdog. Junior Tafa, he's just coming off a three round loss to Muhammad Usman. But that being said, Parker Porter, he's actually not that good to begin with, and Junior Tafa, he lost to Usman, and again Muhammad Usman, he's the brother of Kamaru, so he's 34 himself, and he's been looking good thus far in the UFC. A second round KO and a third round unanimous decision win over Tafa. No shame in that. So he's losing to someone that definitely I feel like he should have lost to. Someone who I don't even think Muhammad Usman. I don't see him making a title run, but he's definitely like a vet. Like this is like a tough dude that's not been in the UFC longer than you, but he definitely has had UFC caliber fights in terms of the training too, and actual UFC fights. So he is losing to someone definitely better than him, more experienced than him. But and in this case, you could say the same thing. Well, why not for Parker Porter? Parker Porter is not, again, he's not that good. He's been knocked out in the first round in the past, and I think Tafa, all his wins that he has are via KO, and also 3 of them are in the first round. So I think it just, he's going to be the younger guy. He's going to be a little more athletic and quicker. I see Tafa just catching Parker Porter and making it lights out for him. Again, Parker Porter, he has a lot more experience than Tafa, so I'm almost surprised he's not the favorite in this one. But again, that's why I also have Tafa as my 2-weight. I'm not that confident in him for surely knocking out Parker Porter. Again, and all it is the experience. Parker Porter also has
Sure.
3-inch reach advantage. A 4-inch reach advantage over Junior Tafa. So that experience and that reach advantage could play somewhat of a role. And just because he's been in the UFC longer, his stats obviously are more accurate. But he throws 6.66 significant strikes that land per minute, and that's actually pretty good for most heavyweights. But to me, that's also he doesn't have he's not possessing as much power either. 6 out of his 13 wins come via KO. So if he's gonna beat Junior Tafa, it could be via KO. But I see it being more via decision based off his vet experience. But I'm riding with the young buck. I'm riding with the 26-year-old Junior Tafa. Again, he's coming off that loss, and I'm sure he wants to regain it. And Parker Porter, I think, is a good matchup for him. It's a vet, and he's somewhat of a name, but it's someone that's definitely beatable for the younger Tafa. So for this one, I got Tafa, but I don't know why he's as big of a favorite though. So for this one, you actually I don't think you talked about this fight, but I'm curious, do you have any opinion about this fight, Nick?
Yeah, you're right. I did. Excuse me. I didn't get a weight on this one. I do lean Tafa. I guess just mainly because of the strength advantage that you mentioned, the hitting power. Parker Porter puts out a lot of volume, but he also receives a lot of volume. And if a guy is absorbing over 6 strikes per minute, I'm concerned that he's going to get knocked out by a power puncher. And I think you're right about Muhammad Usman. I'm not saying he's a championship contender, but he's a real tough dude. And Junior Tafa was still outstriking him. It was just the 2 takedowns that ended up kind of making the difference. And I think we can rest easy that Parker Porter is not about to take down Junior Tafa. So, it seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I don't. Yeah. The only way I see it going by decision is if Tafa can't put out Porter, and then there I think it's up for grabs who takes it from there.
Yeah.
But that being said, I have Tafa as my 2-weight. Again, I'm not as confident. That's why he's my 2-weight. And that I actually talked about my weights. There's your 2-weight, Nick.
Correct.
Female fight.
Yes. So my 2-weight lies on what I was surprised to see as one of it's like hidden down in this card. It's like the second fight on the card. It's being opened by the heavyweights we just discussed. And then we're going into this fight of Absolutely dominating females. Erin Blanchfield versus Tyla Santos. Those are the hottest girls in MMA right now, I would argue. And by hot, I of course mean like winning streak. Not to get weird or anything like that. Winning streak, I mean, specifically Blanchfield having subbed Andrade, subbed JJ Aldrich, subbed Molly McCann. It's not even been close for anyone that Erin Blanchfield has fought. But Tyla Santos, by far, her toughest out, I would say, so far. Tyler Santos is on her own tear in the UFC, having only lost to Mara Barella back in 2019 and then Valentina recently, about a year and 2 months ago in UFC 275. That being said, it's been over a calendar year since Tyler Santos has fought. I don't quite know. I haven't looked into it whether it's due to injury, if she just wanted time off, if she was struggling to find opponents. I do see that there was a canceled bout. She was supposed to fight Blanchfield earlier in February. So that got pushed back 6 months to where our date will be this Saturday. That being said, my two weight is currently lying on Erin Blanchfield. I just think, call me riding the roller coaster or whatever you want, but she decimated Jessica Andrade. It wasn't really close at all throughout that whole fight. And obviously Valentina Shevchenko is a little bit of a different story. Some might say that they pushed Tyler Santos along too far. So it's a tough call. That's the one thing that brings pause to the conversation, I think. But in the end, man, Tyler Santos, I just I don't think she's going to be as good on the ground as Blanchfield, and it's going to come down to who can strike and who can and to give Tyler Santos credit, she's got more KOs on her record than Erin Blanchfield, but there's a reason because Erin Blanchfield is like 25 years old. You know what I'm saying? She's barely had UFC experience. So I'm also kind of leaning on the fact that Blanchfield is ideally practicing her striking and kind of honing her craft through her training camps and still getting better every fight because it's going to be necessary. Obviously, Tyla's is the hardest fight she's going to have seen, but I think it's doable. So give me Erin Blanchfield.
All right, yeah.
I'm not sure if you have any weight on this.
Yo, yeah. So I did not put a weight on this one, but to be honest, if I were gonna go with one, you just made some valid points. Blanchfield, that first round win via submission over Jessica Andrade, that definitely that definitely opened my eyes like and seeing like she's legit. The only thing is Talia Santos too. She's very legit. I mean, losing split decision to Valentina Shevchenko to me says a lot. And before that, she was on a 4 fight winning streak in the UFC. So she does have slight a bit more experience in the UFC, not much compared to Blanchfield, just like a couple more fights, but really nothing, not much more experience than her. She is the older fighter, but not that much older. She's only 30. Um, yeah, Talia Santos. I think it's gonna be a good matchup. I'm interested in it. I'm a slight favor with Talia Santos. And again, like, if we were to rate this, this would have been probably my one weight if we did a 6 weight system. Bump everyone up, and this would have been my one weight. Because Erin Blanchfield, yeah, that win over Jessica Andrade was legit. But at the same time, it feels like Jessica Andrade now is on a 3 fight losing streak too. So that she was just at the beginning of that wave of that losing streak, and I don't know, like if something's up with Jessica Andrade, she just isn't like that feared stopper, like killer that she that fought for the title and that won the championship at one point. It's crazy to say, but it almost seems like Jessica Andrade is having almost like a little bit of downfall right now. Don't know. She's like in the verge of like either being able someone that can rebound back and still hang in the top 5 or slowly kind of fall off. But Talia Santos again, just going split decision. She was pretty close to being a champion. So if Erin Blanchfield beats her, then she is legit. And probably will get a title shot fairly soon. Then, but that being said, yeah, I for this one I don't have a weight on it. You have Erin Blanchfield. I if I were to pick one, I would probably go with Talia Santos, but I'm not that confident. So if I could, this would have been my one weight too. If we would have done 6 fights. But that being said, no, we did not, and this is one that we'll have to disagree on, but you have Blanchfield as your 2 weight. So, and that being said, just to give everyone a quick recap, we both had Holloway at 5, Ryan Spann at 4. You had Rhea Nakamura as your 3 weight. I had Giga Chikowski as my 3 weight. You have Aaron Blanchfield as your 2 weight. I had Junior Tafa as my 2 weight. And I had Nakamura as my 1 weight, and you had Chikowski as your 1 weight. So um, that's just a quick highlight of just everything we just talked about. Um, and again, like if I were for this female fight, I'm slightly leaning towards Sally Saunders just because she was that close to being a champion, and against someone like Valentina Shevchenko, that says a lot to me. Um, but that being said, those are our picks. We are, you know, gonna be back next week again. But other than that, that's pretty much it for me and Nick on Moneyline MMA. Make sure to follow us and subscribe. I promise in the future too, I should probably, be hosting this a little more too. I'm always the side guy, but this was nice having some practice and running this for a bit today. So, sorry guys if it wasn't like the usual layout you're used to, but the show must always go on, and you got our picks from Nick and I, and hoping these ones are gonna hit and everyone makes some money this week, guys. So other than that, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jose. And yep, we'll catch you guys next week. Looks like we got a heavyweight, Cyril Gane versus Sergey Spivak coming at you guys on the first weekend in September. So until then, have a good week.